And change of music. So, as you can see, a whole bunch of summoners have popped up around the map. Our goal here is, I believe, it says defeat boss and it's Rakkus, but no. Our goal here is actually to survive for the next 5 turns. And, unfortunately, there's not really much in the way of ways that you can kill off these 2 summoners without getting horribly murdered by Rakkus. So, yeah, her regular breath only has 11 might, but with 20 might plus 10, that's a guaranteed 30 damage in an area, and she can also fly and has 8 move. Meanwhile, we have Mousa on our side for once, and she cannot fly and only has 5 move, but her main role is going to be to basically block off Rakkus and defend us against her. And if she will be able to take down some monsters, then yes, that's what we will be doing with her. Okay, you can attack Vega. Okay, so hopefully Vega are harpies. Hopefully Vega doesn't get hit by a monster that does 10 damage to him. Because Sierra, unfortunately, has exactly enough health to the point where she will die to an attack from Rakkus, so she's gonna have to run away, sadly. But at least this will give her an opportunity to use her potion. One of them, at least. Let's go for... I guess I'll go for the wing potion. More speed. And, now... Oh, there's nothing there. I thought there'd be something in that corner. Those 2 have already moved. Dang it. And there's one up there, but everyone up there has already moved. You have gargoyles, too. You have skeletons, and you have zombies. Okay, is there anybody meaningful that I... Oh, well, there is Sierra. However, does she even... 6 attack speed... how much does she... she has 10. Oh, that still doesn't double, because you need 5. But I may be able to... actually, Verna's not going to double either. Oh, with the Iron Sword, she might. Don't think that'll one-round them, but I can see. Now, I do need to be a little careful here, because obviously I don't want Plum to get killed by gargoyles. The skeleton summons I'm totally okay with, because they're not really like, they can be a little annoying to take down, but they're not really much in the way of actually threatening. Okay, so you... Yeah, with the Iron Sword... You do double... You leave him with 1 HP, really. I mean, you got a solid crit rate, though. But if I do that, then... Yeah. Wait a minute. Oh, that's the kill count Iron Sword. It's coming back all this time later. I was like, you're not a monster, so I'm not getting Slayer against you. Why is my crit rate that high? But wow, yeah. This must have still been in the convoy, and I must have forgot this existed. Well, that's annoying. Oh, well. Hopefully the gargoyles won't be able to reach Plum. Like, gargoyles have really bad movement. I could have sworn that more enemies came from down there, but maybe they do and I just haven't seen them yet. So, anybody here need healing? Actually, does this work on staff users? I guess we'll find out. We'll only hit 2 of them. Okay, 1 more mastery. That's getting closer to being able to use stuff. Okay, yeah, you can't summon harpies. And that's the zombie guy. Skeleton. No, the gargoyle guy is up north. So the skeleton guy is silenced as well as the harpy one. The harpy one was actually somebody that I'm very appreciative of being silenced, because that means that I think Shigen should be safe now. I doubt that he would have died anyway, but yeah, we'll see how this goes. So yeah, this chapter's actually, I don't want to speak too soon, but going a bit smoother than it usually does for me, because I'm used to these guys just, like, flooding the map with reinforcement monsters before I get a chance to do anything. Wow, that gargoyle spawned very far away from its summoner. Now, are they going to be entombed here? Nope, just regular zombies. Okay, she's just, moving normally. I was afraid of that. There's a second gargoyle that can attack him too. However, Runen does get the benefits of, the gate terrain. So essentially, Runen is being a boss here. Figuratively, I mean. I mean, he is literally the boss of our army, but, I mean, you know, he really doesn't act that way because he's not really all that strong. Yeah, if this thing crits, Runen still doesn't die. But I do want to get rid of that Gargoyle Summoner as soon as possible, because Gargoyles are really tough to take out. So the more of them that are on the map, the worse it is for us. I still have Liquid. That was probably way more than 99 damage. That was probably more like 199. And his stats are still going. Yeah, I think 17 strength is actually pretty blessed for him. Oh yeah, there are reinforcements that spawn everywhere, that's why. And witches as well. Though speaking of the witches... Oh, Swarm. Who has... You have Nosferatu. And you're out of Rakkus range. And so, although before I do that, I'd better, make sure that I, let's see, yeah, I can't actually get enough speed to flurry you. But I can probably, like, one-shot you to finish you off? Yeah, that will finish you off. And I'm doing this before I warp in Sierra so I don't get affected by the Mug Zone. That a level? Yeah, it's a level. Yeah, Mince is pretty, like, he's, again, like, it's easy to get overshadowed by people like Raphael and Raffin and stuff, but Mince is actually pretty solid overall. So yeah, you, before I deal with you, I'm going to... how about this? How about, actually, how about I fly down here and try and Pylum the Witch? Yeah, your hit rate sucks. I just kind of want to see if I can Chukonu the Summoner just because it's funny. And at least you don't have Nosferatu, so you're not going to fully heal yourself back up here. And nope. Yeah, the quote from this is like, I saw a beast ascend from the sea, but I guess they just chose it for the beast connotation and not the ocean part, because that doesn't really, yeah, make, a whole lot of sense with this, but, yeah, if I mean, I could use the Cannon Spear, but no, I don't want to do that. Let me just see. Yeah, I'm gonna Chukonu use because it's fun. Yeah, I believe this actually has shown up in a few Fire Emblem ROM hacks under the name Gatling Bow, which is its Japanese name. And with that, there's no one else around this general vicinity, so I can warp Sierra over here and get myself an extra Nosferatu tome for her, which I've really wanted to get for her for a while. In fact, because of that, I'm gonna, just for extra safety, equip Nosferatu here with, actually... Yeah, I have to do this because otherwise he uses Nosferatu on me and heals himself, and then I might not be able to finish him in return. Whereas with that, he is just gone. And I get his Nosferatu. And I get to keep that, which is good. I'm going to go from having one very battered Nosferatu to having basically, like, more Nosferatus than I ever know what to do with. Like, I think Rakkus kind of advances towards Runen for the most part. I'm not totally sure about that. I'm just trying to see if I can take out, like, this guy, let's just say, with the Salia Spear. This could be a bit risky for Raffin, but, I trust him. That's still a cool sound. And once again, didn't even need to use the Brave Weapon effect, because it's a one-shot. Okay, so you're gone, and at this point, like, I really should be breathing on the ogres, but I also want to show off, like, what this epic clash looks like. Epic clash of neither of us being able to hurt each other, because that's just how dragon-on-dragon battles go in this game. I like Mousa's sort of snake-like neck and head, though. We have seen Rakkus fighting before. And the sort of feathery wings on Mousa as well. Like, I do like how all of the dragons have their own distinctive designs. But yeah, I do need to be a little bit careful here, especially since there is a guy there with a devil lance, and you summon harpies. Yeah, I'm going to equip Shram here, just in case bad things happen. 19 attack speed is ludicrous by this game's standards. Which is what Julius had, so yeah, that makes him nearly impossible to... Actually, like, is it even possible to double Julius without Brave Weapons? You would need 24 attack speed, and given that the, like, speed cap is 25, and, like, I actually think it's physically impossible to double him. No, wait, you would have to have 25 speed and then be using a Ward Blade, which has 1 weight. So you probably can double him, but you'd be doing terrible damage because the Ward Blade's might is awful. I'm going to keep Naren back there for now. I'm going to need to use him to respond to threats later. And see, here's the thing. I want to use Rochelle to get rid of some of the knights down there, but we also have a whole lot of gargoyles here that I need to deal with. Can Runen finish these guys off at all? I don't think so. Sasha does double them though, and doubling gargoyles is a pretty tough prospect in this game. This is actually the map that I planned to go on tangents regarding dragons in, because it's one that does last for quite a while. You do need to stall this out for 5 turns, and there are a lot of reinforcements. Yeah. This is kind of an issue with occult books as well. Like they're actually not entirely that worth it, because by the time you reach level 30, your stats are, like, pretty much nearly capped anyway. So there's not really a whole lot of point in, using an occult book, I mean. Okay, maybe I can still Sunflame this guy and also head back. Because I do really, really want to keep Runen out of range of anything, well, anything. I suppose... Oh no, I can't, like, W with the Arbalest. How much power does it have? 7. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a one-shot. It's more that I don't want to move Plum into a position where the zombie could... Actually, the zombie wouldn't be able to attack her anyway. Because zombies, as you would expect, have very low movement. Dancing for Rochelle. I mean, I guess I could take out the zombie, but no, I kind of want to have you down there to respond to any enemies that come from that front. Is anybody here in serious need of healing? I suppose Vega could use a little bit in case the Devil Lance and Rakkus hit him in the same turn. And then, meanwhile, Mel should just kind of run and hide for now. Okay, let's see... Like, I think you can reach the central building with, Oh yeah, she does also focus on, I love when that happens. Focus on Enter when she can. So, like, Enter's meant to be a distraction for Rakkus in this chapter. Oh, right, that's the Iron Shield. Don't really like that I'm using up Sylphid here, but I probably have enough uses to last me the rest of the game. Okay, so now that Rakkus didn't go for Vega, I'm not worried about him. It is interesting how, like, narrative-wise, it makes sense for the two dragons to start clashing with each other, but, like, gameplay-wise, they can't hurt each other, so it makes no sense for the AI to target, my dragon. Although, speaking of my dragon, I have an idea. Fierce Breath. Yes! We get all of them in the radius of this. Do these have enough health to... No, they don't quite die to it, unfortunately. But yeah, right now, it is pretty much just the, you know, same old stuff. There's not a huge amount that's going on here. We're just killing off, the same reinforcements as they spawn. So, I guess now would be a good time to talk a little bit more about, I was saying it during the peace conference, but just how I feel about that, and it is interesting because on the one hand, I do really, like the fact that, oh wait, no, I still one-shot you even with Nosferatu, so I'm okay equipping this. That we have a war in a medieval fantasy strategy RPG, that's a mouthful, that is ended by diplomacy. I think that is a really interesting concept, but again, I understand why it's not done more often, and again, it's because of that thing of agency feeling like it's being taken away from the player. In that, like, and it's also another thing, though, and this is actually something that I plan to talk about if I ever, like, read it FE4, but the thing about the whole deconstructing the invasion solve everything Fire Emblem story that Genealogy did, which I thought was actually pretty good, the way that it did it. But, there's a reason why a lot of these games end with you invading the enemy capital, because invasions are dramatic, and they make for some very interesting maps as well. But at the same time, that's not how every war is going to end, and again, if you are ending every war that way, you kind of just set this precedent of again, like, you know, there are issues that can arise from that mentality, as, again, Fire Emblem 4 deconstructs quite a lot. Like with, this is sort of spoilers for that game, but like with Augustria. Is that how it's still localized? I feel like it has a different name now. But like with there, like Sigurd invades the place and he does, like, you know, dethrone a tyrannical king. But at the same time, he also messes up a lot of other aspects of that country through his invasion, and even in the epilogue, it's never truly recovered. And then Verdun is even worse. Like, sure, Verdun was an entire country of bandits, but like, the epilogue shows that it never recovered from Sigurd's invasion in Chapter 1, and even, like, 16 or 17 years later, and after Salif's whole war, which is portrayed much more in a reconstructive fashion when it comes to Fire Emblem cliches. Sigurd's half was the deconstruction, and then Salif was the reconstruction. Verdun is still, like, just in a state of complete lawlessness, and yeah, and it's implied that it's going to take years before things even start getting better there. And even, like, still having Jumka alive and him married to someone doesn't really improve its situation. And we even see, like again, like, more of that deconstruction of the whole invasion thing as well in Path of Radiance to Radiant Dawn, because, you know, there you've got, like, what happened to Dayan, and I can't take the phrase "what happens to X" seriously anymore, but you get the idea. With Dayan, you're like, oh yeah, let's ally with Bednion and defeat Dayan, and then Dayan's defeated, and their country is really messed up, and yeah, it still takes a long time to resolve the issues of the occupation, and yeah, that does bring to mind certain real-life situations as well involving occupations and things like that. So, I got a little bit off topic here, but, like, what I'm saying is that, like, the whole mentality of, oh yeah, let's just invade the bad country and it will fix things, doesn't really work that way in the real world. And so it is interesting that we have Fire Emblem games that have deconstructed that, and I still think, like, the ultimate way to deconstruct that is to have a war that's ended this way. Like, with diplomacy and with a peace conference, but the problem with that is, like I said, it's very, very hard to make talking dramatic in a game. And I've actually talked about this before as well, that just, like, it's very hard to make diplomacy and, like, you know, non-violent alternatives to combat in video games fun. Like, Undertale did a decent job of that, in my opinion, but it's just, like, that was kind of a rarity, and it's pretty hard to do that. I feel like Ace Attorney does a pretty good job of making, you know, basically just talking feel incredibly dramatic, as well as really fun to do and also very engaging, and just feel like, to me, I know that, like, this is just really an Ace Attorney fan sort of mentality, and people who aren't really into the series might not think this, but it's just like, those cases are just so gratifying to resolve. Like, there's this huge feeling of catharsis that you're also, I believe she just killed both of the ogres, or even just one of them, but yeah. There's a huge feeling of catharsis that you get from solving those cases, and it's all just by like, dialogue, and, by conversations. But, I mean, that's a visual novel puzzle game, so you can't really compare it to, you know, say, a strategy game. When you've got, like, a strategy game that's focused around combat, you obviously need to resolve things through combat. Because otherwise you've got things like, oh, you know, like, we've got an action RPG, let's resolve our secret endings final boss battle through a rhythm game. And if you thought that was crazy, there's really a game that does that. Those who know about that game will know what I'm talking about, but as I have a bad track record with this in the past, I guess I'll just say it outright, I think it's the first Drakengard that's what does that. But yeah, like, the final boss fight for the ultimate secret ending is, a brutally difficult rhythm game in what was otherwise an action, I think it's an action RPG? Yeah, I have absolutely zero desire to play Drakengard, due to how horrifically unsympathetic most of the party members are from what I've heard. This is a tangent, but, like, one thing about it that I do think is interesting is that, like, it kind of deconstructs the idea of anti-hero protagonists by having, the main character of, like, its first game is the villain of the second game, and they're exactly the same character. Like, nothing about them has changed, it's just that you're not on their side anymore. And, like, honestly, I think that's an interesting idea for like, a game character, but, like, anyway, yeah, the Nair games are, and, well, the Drakengard / Nair games are all very good with deconstruction of, like, video game tropes and things like that, but, anyway, that's going way off topic, but yeah, you get the idea. So, it's why I feel like diplomacy and stuff like that is just not done as much as as I feel it should be, is because of the fact that it can feel a little unsatisfying from a gameplay standpoint. I think that does exactly enough to one round. But of course, the other reason this feels a little bit unsatisfying as well is, like I said before, a lot of Senate's stuff that is vital to the plot happened off-screen. And I've been waiting a while to say this, but Senate's entire plotline is pretty much what I had always hoped that Fate's Conquest would be. And I think it's actually what most people hoped that Fate's Conquest would be, because the trailers told us that's what it would be, and they lied. They were like, oh, it's all about reforming a conquering empire from the inside. Nope. Nope, that is not what Conquest Story was at all. Conquest Story was literally normal, generic Fire Emblem plot, except you're on the side of the bad nation. And that's about it. I want to mug your swarm, just to give me something other than Nosferatu to mug. Like, overall though, I still actually don't think Conquest plot is as bad as most people say, but yeah, it definitely has its issues, and I think the marketing was definitely one of its biggest problems, because again, like, they promised us something that, and they did not give us what they promised. They promised us a deeper story, and again, it was really just a generic Fire Emblem plot, just in reverse. But yeah, Senate's whole thing of basically trying to, reform the Empire from the inside, well, not exactly reform from the inside, he did lead a revolution, but, yeah, leading a revolution within, like, one empire is also kind of how I expected the conquest route would go in Fates. And also, like I said, the fact that the Emperor, you never actually get to personally fight them, and they're killed in a cutscene by a character who's not in your army and was never playable, might leave a sore taste in a lot of people's mouths. So I can understand why some people would be frustrated by that. Like, as of recording this, I wouldn't have uploaded that part yet, but, I wonder how people felt about that. In fact, there is actually an unused Emperor class in this game's data, hinting that maybe you were supposed to fight, Banuk at some point. And I feel like if there was a hypothetical Senate and Tier game, that would be the big climactic fight, like, before the end of the game. Like, he would be the... I wouldn't say, like, Disc 1 final boss, he'd be, like, the Disc 3 out of 4 final boss, and you'd have some big chapter where you do end up fighting him directly. That would have been pretty interesting. Yes, for variety, I can use the Cood here. And it does feel like Kaga was like setting up for a potential Senate and Tier game in the future. We never got that. So yeah, like it does feel a bit annoying that the resolution to a lot of the Empire's problems hinges on a character whose story we were never following and who we were never actually playing as directly. At the same time though, TearRing Saga, to me, I still enjoy from a story standpoint, even ignoring that big glaring flaw that resolution hinges on something that we don't see, because it's just, and I find this really hard to explain, because there's a movie, I feel, that I think was too focused on well, actually, there are multiple movies that have failed because they were too focused on setting up a cinematic universe and not focused enough on making the first installment a good standalone story that would, you know, naturally lead to a cinematic universe because people are interested in what happens next. I'm talking about both The Mummy 2017 and Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 especially, like, that entire movie was just throwing around hooks for sequels and just not even caring about telling its own story, or just what little story it had, it just, you know, didn't. Whereas The Mummy, it clearly got too big for its boots from the beginning, and they were like, oh, let's just make this whole, you know, we're gonna make a big cinematic universe, and it's gonna be totally successful, and we're gonna show off all of the great big-name actors we have to play all of the monsters, and we have our own logo, we have a composer that we've got to compose for the whole thing, we've got all these plot hooks for future movies, and the first movie did terribly, and they had to cancel the whole thing. It's just, like, a rule of thumb that I feel like I should, not that I have any authority, because I'm not really, you know, a writer or anything. I would like to make my own work someday. Like one day, I've always had ideas for games and things like that, but I guess my advice to aspiring writers would be never, like, when you're writing or making your first installment of something, never do it assuming a sequel is going to be made. Always leave enough, leave it self-contained enough that if it does badly and you don't get a sequel, that it doesn't severely hurt the work's value. Because worst comes to worst and you don't get a sequel, at least you'll have, like, an okay, standalone film. Whereas, you don't want to end up in a situation like, again, The Mummy 2017 or, Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where it's just like, again, it's just like, they'll only be remembered as just failed attempts to start a cinematic universe rather than actually being good movies in their own right. And TearRing Saga shows all of the hallmarks of falling into this trap. It really does, and to me it doesn't fall into that trap. To me, the fact that a huge amount of plot points happen off-screen, it never actually bothered me as much as it really should have, only because I feel like the core Runen and Holmes story, when it's good, is good enough that I can forgive all of those other issues. Because the Runen and Holmes plot is relatively coherent for what it is. It's a pretty simple plot overall, but it does work. It has, I mean, again, admittedly it may have a little bit too much in the way of world building. Oh, I just realized this is kind of the last chance Raphael has to be particularly great. Oh yeah, that's actually, I don't like that, that's sad. Because, like, starting with the next chapter, he's going to be going indoors, and then he'll lose most of his stats, and he can only use swords. I mean, he has a lot of good supports with people, I guess, but yeah, it's just kind of a shame. But anyway, not to get into somewhat depressing stuff here. So I hope I'm making sense that when this game's writing is good, it's actually pretty decent, and I can forgive its quirks because of that. So, yeah, basically I would still, going back to my first point though, I would really like to see more of these kind of games. Do a storyline where the war with the Empire is resolved diplomatically. You know, it'd actually be kind of interesting if they did something like where the story seemed like it was going to be like a typical like fighting back against an Empire story, and then it turns out the war with the Empire actually ends by diplomacy very early, and there's actually a completely different villain to contend with that then takes over, and you get a very different kind of story. Of course, bait and switch is quite hard to do, right? Because you always run the risk that the audience prefers the original plot idea, and they wish there wasn't a bait and switch, so yeah, always gotta be careful with that. It's complicated. Writing anything is complicated. And I still don't know how you would really do a good diplomatic resolution that feels fun as well. Like, maybe some kind of situation where there is, like, one party that is trying to sabotage the peace treaty, and they're still trying to fight. But anyway, with all those tangents out of the way, this chapter is over, and it's time for you to go, hey big guy, sun's getting real low, again. Because I believe this is what happened to Nafa the first time. I don't know why it took Senate that many turns to get out of the mansion, though. And he had, like, what? He had some of the continent's best fighters with him. He had Silver, he had Rashea, he had, like, all those, like, where were they during this fight? Why couldn't they come out and defend us? Were they all that scared of the dragon? But anyway, things here aren't gonna go as, well as they did last time. Yeah, she's still gone. So, I've actually read that there is a novel, with Senate and starring Senate and Nafa. But I don't really know much information about it, and I haven't really seen any translations online. Yes, we've already, got one of the Holy Swords, but Senate now has the ability to claim his. Note, though, that Gwen Chaos only needs the Shamans themselves. He does not need their rings. Their rings are helpful, though, because it, you know, lets him control the dragons and basically have living weapons on his side. But it's just the shamans that he needs. But we have averted a second tragedy of Nolzaria, thankfully. Oh, please stop using that wording. So again, separating the bracelet from the shaman. Still useful to do, because otherwise he could control their dragon forms like he just did. Does Runen know that the bracelets allow them to turn into the dragons? No, he does, because he mentioned that. He said that, like, you didn't have the bracelet when Chaos was controlling you. I mean, he knows that. So, I mean, he should be able to put two and two together and realize why she gave that bracelet to him. So, his off-screen journey continues. And he's going after his Holy Blade. And since Runen is heading to the Water Shrine, that means that, unwittingly, in attempting to rescue Enter, he'll be getting his hands on his own Holy Blade. Okay, yeah, this conversation. I believe this only happens if you had Runen talk to Stephanie during Chapter 34. Well, I mean, yeah, it's very understandable the way she was acting back then. And that gets us, well, the Ring of Reeve, and a Ward Blade. Yeah, I don't really know if the Ward Blade's that great. I wish there was a better sword that you got out of it than just that. So, yeah, we get the reveal here. Zeeg's backstory was correct. He was just lying about who was responsible for the scars. He wasn't enslaved by the Zoans, he was enslaved because he was a Zoan. So that scene that just played... Oh, it's still continuing, actually. That happens if Kate is on this route. If Kate is on Holmes' route, things play out a bit differently. She leaves the party after Chapter 31, and in that version of events, she is the one who frees Z when he's taken hostage, rather than Carla. In a way, I prefer how that version of the event starts, but I prefer how this version of the event ends, so I'm going with having her on Runa's route. But yes, Kate actually does have some minor availability issues. You will lose her for a few chapters, starting at this point. It's only right at the very end, though. Oh yes, you enforced that all too well with, Oh, you didn't even know that, Christ was playing to dessert, but if you found out... And then with Arcus, yeah, I mean, she saw how you treated Arcus. So you actually do need to have Sasha on whichever route that Kate is, because Sasha is the only one who can recruit her back, I'm pretty sure. Once we get to the chapter where we'll see her again.